What if I told you that the single most potent tool for preventing Alzheimer's disease has been known for years, and you won't find it for sale in any chemist shop? What's more, it's entirely accessible to absolutely everyone, regardless of your age. Does that sound too good to be true? Today we're going to discuss why picking up a new language after the age of 60 isn't just a pleasant hobby, but possibly the finest workout available for your brain. A proven method to literally push back cognitive aging. Stick with us until the end, and you'll discover how acquiring just one new skill can reshape your brain's function in ways no pharmaceutical drug ever could. If you believe your train has already left the station, you are profoundly mistaken. In truth, it's only just pulling onto the tracks for the most exhilarating journey yet. Now, let's face facts. Diagnoses related to dementia and Alzheimer's disease are frightening. The statistics are relentless, and every year the number of people suffering from serious cognitive decline sadly increases. Pharmaceutical giants spend billions searching for that elusive magic bullet, but so far their success has been limited. This is precisely why the focus of scientists worldwide is shifting away from treatment and squarely towards prevention. They are searching for effective, accessible methods that can help us build up what they call our protective brain reserve. And it's right here, at the intersection of neuroscience and linguistics, that a truly startling discovery was made. It turns out that actively engaging the brain in a complex task, such as acquiring a new language, creates an incredibly robust shield against age-related changes. Right then, let's start with a simple analogy. Your brain is essentially a muscle, and the same old rule that applies to your bicep applies here too. The principle of use it or lose it. When you stop challenging those muscles, they simply wither away. It's exactly the same with your brain. If you stop tackling those tricky, non-routine tasks and just live life on autopilot, those crucial neural connections start to weaken. Now, we often think that brain exercise means doing a crossword or maybe a bit of Sudoku, and those are absolutely fine. But imagine them as just a gentle warm-up. Learning a new language, however, is a full-blown strength workout for the whole brain. You engage your memory, your logic, your hearing, your speech apparatus. You're learning to recognize entirely new patterns and structures. It is comprehensive work that forces the brain to run at full capacity, keeping it sharp, keeping it in good nick, and ensuring it doesn't just fade away. The crucial idea that underpins all this wonderful work is what scientists call neuroplasticity. Now, for decades, it was widely believed that once we reached adulthood, our brains became rigid, completely fixed, much like a slab of set concrete. The theory was that all our major neural circuits were cemented during childhood, and after that, we just had to manage with that inherited framework. But modern science has shown us that this simply isn't true. In fact, our brains possess this truly remarkable capacity to change, rewire themselves, and forge entirely new connections right the way through our lives. Think of it like a simple footpath winding through the woods. The more often that path is used, the clearer, wider, and more easily defined it becomes. The very same principle holds true for our neural connections. When you sit down and learn a new vocabulary item or a complicated piece of grammar, you are literally treading out a brand new pathway inside your mind. And the more often you revisit and use that new information, the more solid and robust that connection becomes. In fact, you can think of the process of learning a language as building an entire network of new, high-speed motorways right across your brain. Now let's take a look at precisely how language manages to switch on the entire brain. Crucially, unlike so many other activities, learning a language isn't a localized process. It's certainly not the work of just one isolated part. When you're listening to a foreign tongue, your auditory centers naturally become highly activated. Trying to wrap your mouth around unfamiliar sounds brings Broca's area, the crucial zone for speech production, right into the game. As you memorize new vocabulary, the hippocampus, our main memory center, works diligently away. And when you attempt to construct a grammatically sound sentence, the frontal lobes, which manage our logic and planning, are immediately called into action, It's rather like a great symphony orchestra performing, with language learning serving as the esteemed conductor. This conductor forces dozens of different brain regions to work in perfect concert, strengthening the connections not just within those regions, but crucially between them, ultimately crafting an incredibly rich and complex neural network. All this active brain work leads to the formation of what we call the cognitive reserve. So, what exactly is it? Imagine your brain is a bustling city and your neural connections are the roads. Alzheimer's disease is like an unexpected earthquake that destroys some of those vital routes. If your city only ever had one main street, its destruction would lead to a total collapse. However, if you've proactively built plenty of alternative routes, duplicate paths and bridges, the city will continue to function smoothly, even if a few major roads are lost. Cognitive reserve is essentially these backup routes. By learning a language, you are building an enormous number of these alternative neural pathways. And because of this, even if a disease begins to damage certain parts of the brain, it will still have sufficient resources to navigate around that damage and continue performing its functions. This isn't just a beautiful theory either. We now have compelling scientific evidence confirming the enormous cognitive advantages enjoyed by bilinguals. That is, people who speak 2 or more languages. One of the most famous pieces of research, conducted in Canada, demonstrated that bilingual individuals experience the onset of dementia symptoms, on average, 4 to 5 years later than those who only speak a single language. It is vital to understand that the disease itself was still progressing in their brains at the same rate. But thanks to their high cognitive reserve, their minds were simply able to cope with the accumulated damage for much, much longer. The brain compensated for the deterioration far more effectively, meaning that outwardly, the person remained sharp and absolutely healthy for an extended period. Think about that. 5 extra years of clarity and full quality of life. That is an incredibly precious gift you can give yourself. And crucially, you absolutely don't need to be a genius or a lifelong polyglot to achieve this. Let's take a moment now to tackle the biggest myth that holds most people back. It's the old refrain, "I'm too old to pick up new skills." And that famous saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks," is perhaps the most damaging misconception about the human brain. Yes, youngsters certainly absorb knowledge instinctively and often much quicker, but that absolutely does not mean the adult brain has lost its ability to learn. Quite the opposite. Adults actually bring some crucial advantages to the table. We are often more disciplined, we have decades of accumulated life experience, we are adept at forming logical connections, and we can leverage our existing knowledge base to make helpful associations. Scientific studies using MRI scans clearly show that the brains of people in their 60s, 70s, and even their 80s display definite signs of neuroplasticity in response to training and learning. So the real question isn't, can I still do this? But rather, when will I start? But the benefits aren't just about keeping your memory sharp, you know. Learning a new language really gives a massive boost to what we call the brain's executive functions. Think of this as your brain's very own chief operating officer, sitting right there in the front of your head. This crucial part handles all the important stuff, planning your day, staying focused, tackling problems, and, most importantly, juggling different tasks. When you're speaking that foreign tongue, your mind is constantly making choices. It has to swiftly push down the words from your native language while fishing out the correct ones in the new language. This constant switching, this mental juggling act, is simply a fantastic workout for those executive functions. As a result, you don't just get better at the language itself, you improve your ability to concentrate on daily chores, plan out your schedule, and quickly adapt when things change. You end up feeling much sharper and generally more effective in everything you do. We really must bear in mind the social side of things, as it plays a huge part in keeping dementia at bay. Loneliness and feeling socially isolated are proven risk factors for developing those tricky cognitive issues. But learning a language, now that's a brilliant way to come right out of your shell. You could pop along to group classes, find people to chat with online for practice, or even join those lovely local clubs that focus on your hobbies. It brings new friendships, fresh conversations, and a whole host of new experiences and emotions. What's more, knowing a language really does open up the world for travel. Instead of just seeing the sights, you get the opportunity to chat properly with the locals, order your dinner in their mother tongue, and really understand their culture from the inside. That's incredibly enriching and provides masses of wonderful positive impressions, which, let me tell you, are fantastic fuel for keeping the old grey matter working. Quite often, a question that crops up is, which language should we choose to get the biggest benefit? Should we perhaps take on the most difficult one, say Chinese or Arabic? Well, the answer might surprise you. From a neurobiology point of view, the specific language isn't nearly as important as the actual process of learning it. The main thing is that it needs to be new to you and challenging enough to really make your brain work hard. But there is a crucial psychological aspect too. You must pick a language that genuinely captures your interest. Perhaps you've always dreamt of reading Italian operas in the original, or maybe watching French cinema without subtitles, or understanding what those Spanish singers are actually saying. Choose something that truly sparks your enthusiasm. Motivation and enjoying the process are the keys to regular practice, and it is that very regularity that yields the maximum benefit for your brain health. We often dread the difficulty, the unfamiliar grammar, the tricky pronunciation, the sheer number of new words. Yet here is the paradox. This very difficulty is actually the most valuable part of language learning. When you try to puzzle out a sentence structure, grasp the logic of tenses, or memorize those tricky exceptions, your brain is engaged in solving a complex puzzle. It analyzes, it systematizes, and it hunts for patterns. This process, which can sometimes feel quite painful, is in reality the cognitive equivalent of a serious strength workout. Just imagine stepping into the gym. If all you do is lift feather-light dumbbells, your muscles simply won't grow. Growth only happens when you truly challenge yourself, and the same principle applies to your brain. Easy, familiar tasks won't stretch it. Overcoming difficulties in language study, however, is precisely what builds up your cognitive reserve. To prove our point, let's look at a truly inspiring example. That's Steve Kaufman, the well-known Canadian polyglot who speaks over 20 languages. What is most astonishing about his story is that he mastered the majority of them later in life, well after the age of 60. He has proven through his own experience that age is absolutely no barrier. At over 70 years old, his mind is sharper and quicker than many people half his age. He maintains an active blog, sharing his methodology and inspiring millions worldwide. His core secret is viewing language acquisition not as a school subject that must be crammed or memorized, but rather as an engaging, lifelong journey. He spends time listening extensively, reading widely on topics he finds interesting, and critically, he is never afraid to make mistakes. His entire story is a living testament that the capabilities of the human brain are far greater than we often assume. Well now, that theory certainly sounds convincing, but where on earth do we actually start today? Your first steps, I promise you, can be wonderfully straightforward. There's absolutely no need to rush out and book expensive courses or hire a private tutor straight away. Just start small, that's the key. Perhaps download one of the popular language apps onto your smartphone, things like Duolingo, Memories, or Babbel. They're often designed like a game, which is rather fun, and they only require you to dedicate about 10 or 15 minutes each day. Have a look on YouTube for beginner channels. Find those native speakers who chat about simple topics at a nice, slow, manageable pace. Also, start listening to music in the language you're trying to learn, even if, initially, you don't understand a single word. Your main objective during this first phase isn't to get quick, dazzling results, but rather just to gently immerse your brain into the new sounds and vocabulary. Just take that very first step, the smallest one you can manage, but make sure you take it today. There's one crucial secret to success in this whole business. Consistency is far more important than intensity. It's far better to dedicate just 15 or 20 minutes every single day, rather than tackling the books for 3 hours only once a week. Daily practice helps build those essential, strong neural pathways. Your brain gets accustomed to the new information and absorbs it much more effectively. Try turning your language study into a pleasant daily ritual. For example, you could study while having your morning cup of tea or coffee, or listen to a podcast during your daily walk. Don't try to break any records. Your goal isn't just to rush through the textbook in a month, it's to make the language a genuine part of your life. Even small, constant effort yields tremendous results over time. It's exactly like the drip, drip, drip that wears down a stone. That little 15-minute session you do every day is the constant drop that strengthens your brain. Here's another brilliant approach, simply integrating the language into your daily life. That way, you're learning it without the painful job of actual cramming or boring old rote memorization. There are all sorts of wonderful ways you can do this. For instance, why not try changing the language on your mobile phone or tablet interface to the language you're learning? It might feel a bit awkward at first, but honestly, give it a couple of days and you'll soon remember exactly where all those vital functions are located. Next up, start watching your favourite films or TV series with foreign subtitles. You could start with your native subtitles just to ease yourself in and then switch over to the original foreign ones later on. That's a good little stepping stone. And definitely try having a read of the news, or just simple articles about things you actually care about, all in the new language. Don't panic if you only understand half of it. Your brain is still ticking over brilliantly, analysing the context and trying to figure out the full meaning. These little tricks and clever adjustments essentially immerse you in the language all the time. That really speeds things up and makes the whole learning process feel so much more natural. Beyond the obvious cognitive benefits for the brain, there is also a powerful psychological upside, an incredible boost to your self-confidence. Let's be honest, in our later years we rarely pick up something entirely new right from scratch. So when you start, piece by piece, to understand a foreign conversation, when you manage to construct your first meaningful sentence, or when you suddenly grasp the lyrics of a song, that gives you an absolutely incomparable feeling of triumph and genuine pride. You prove to yourself that you are still capable of stretching your limits, and that the ability to learn and grow certainly hasn't left you. That "I can do it" feeling has a tremendously positive impact on your general emotional well-being. It combats apathy and provides a powerful boost of energy for tackling other challenges in life. This is an investment, not just in the health of your mind, but in your overall self-worth. For a moment, let's just look at what the science actually tells us. Researchers at Edinburgh University undertook a substantial study, monitoring hundreds of participants. Their findings, published in the authoritative journal Annals of Neurology, confirmed that learning a second language, even if you only start doing so later in life, has a powerful positive impact on our mental abilities. Participants who were bilingual showed significantly better results in tests measuring reading comprehension, verbal fluency, and general intelligence compared to their peers who only spoke a single language. Crucially, this effect remained consistent, even after adjusting for the participants' educational background when they were young. This offers direct proof. Language is truly a powerful tool. It sharpens our wits and helps protect them against that natural, age-related fading. It is crucial to appreciate that learning a language is far more profound than simply committing words and grammar rules to memory. It is an immersion into an entirely new culture, a completely different way of thinking, because every language holds its own unique window onto the world. Consider this. In some languages, there's no distinction between blue and light blue, while in others, you might find 10 distinct words just to describe snow. By truly grasping these fascinating subtleties, these nuances, you begin to see familiar things from a completely different vantage point. This naturally broadens your horizons, making your thought processes more flexible and certainly more creative. You gain access to a treasure trove of new literature, music, cinema, history, and tradition. Your life, in turn, becomes richer and far more multifaceted. It's a magnificent journey that you can embark upon without even leaving the comfort of your armchair, and it enriches not only the mind, but truly the soul as well. We often hear people ask, Why bother learning a language when you could just be doing crosswords or playing chess? After all, those are good mental exercises too, aren't they? And yes, absolutely, any mental activity is beneficial. But language offers a fundamental, crucial advantage. Crosswords, Sudoku, even complex puzzles, they operate within a fairly limited and repetitive set of rules. Your brain quickly adapts to these patterns and starts solving them almost automatically. A language, on the other hand, is a living, constantly evolving, and infinitely complex system. It involves not just vocabulary and grammar, but also subtleties like intonation, cultural context, idioms, and even humour. This demands far greater flexibility and deep engagement from your brain. Learning a language isn't merely solving a puzzle, it's exploring an entire universe. And diving into that universe provides the most comprehensive and multifaceted workout possible. One of the biggest hurdles we face, isn't it? It's that dreadful fear of getting things wrong. We worry about looking foolish, saying the wrong thing entirely, or having people chuckle at our efforts. That awful anxiety often stems right back to our school days, where every little slip-up earned us a nasty rap on the knuckles, or a dreadful grade. But when learning a language as an adult, we really must change our approach completely. Your aim isn't to get a perfect score or become a flawless interpreter. Your main purpose is simply to keep that marvellous brain of yours well exercised. And from this perspective, every single mistake isn't a failure at all. It's a golden opportunity. When you make a slip and someone gently corrects you, your brain is actually busy analysing and fixing things up. A truly vital process. You are building a new, much stronger neural pathway. So please, give yourself permission to be imperfect. Speak, even with a few mistakes scattered here and there, and never be afraid to ask questions. Remember, in this journey, the final destination isn't nearly as important as the sheer enjoyment of the process itself. And finally, let's talk about the famous domino effect. When you take on something challenging and genuinely engaging, like learning a new language, seeing those first results often triggers a wonderful chain reaction of positive changes throughout your entire life. Success in one area inspires you to tackle new challenges, and you suddenly feel a tremendous burst of energy and confidence. Perhaps you'll feel motivated to take up that physical activity you always lack the energy for. Maybe you'll decide it's time to rethink your diet and focus on wellness. Or perhaps you'll feel ready to start travelling more widely and explore the world. Language learning can truly be that initial piece, that first positive spark that sets off an avalanche of lifelong change. This isn't just a simple hobby to pass the time. It's adopting a whole new way of life, the life of an active, inquisitive, and truly ageless individual whose brain continues to grow, adapt, and develop. So let's put that pervasive myth to rest. The idea that 60 is too late to start something new is completely unfounded. Your brain remains remarkably plastic and is ready for learning at any age. Learning a new language isn't just a pleasant pastime or hobby. This is a scientifically proven way to build cognitive reserve, which acts as a powerful shield against age-related brain diseases, including Alzheimer's. It is a comprehensive workout that enhances memory, focus, and logic. Plus, it brings new social connections and an incredible boost of self-confidence. It is an investment in your future, in years of clear, active, and fulfilling life. Don't wait for Monday or the new year. The best day to start is always today. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found this information useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes. Now, a question for you. What language would you like to learn? Or perhaps you're already studying one. Share your dreams or experience in the comments below. Let's inspire each other.